Hi everyone, I'm Chris.
And I'm Corey. Join us on our foul-mouthed adventure through the 80s as we answer the questions you didn't know you had, point out the things you missed, and recap the behind-the-scenes stories that likely never happened.
You're listening to
That's Basically the 80s.
Wow, here it is. A message from Jim. Huh? Desperately seeking Susan. Keep the faith. Tuesday, 10 a.m. Battery Park, Gangway 1. Love, Jim.
Who's Jim?
Oh, God, Tuesday is tomorrow.
Who's Susan? You know these people?
No, you see, Jim follows Susan all over the country. Last January, she was in Mexico City, then Seattle. They send messages back and forth. That's how they hook up. Now they're in New York.
Hey Corey,
Yep.
who the fuck is Susan?
I don't know, but we desperately gotta find her.
Who's Jim?
I don't know, man.
Do you know these people?
Hell yeah.
I love it. Welcome back everybody to our multiple things are coming at you from this episode.
Yep.
1 year anniversary.
It is.
I can't believe it's already been 1 year.
I know, we made it.
We've had our ups and downs and we've been
In rounds and rounds.
rounds and rounds. And
Shout out to Rat. We're the first people to shout you out this entire decade, probably. So.
That's fucking right, except for that rat commercial.
Oh, yeah.
What was that like?
Geico.
No, it wasn't Geico. It was like Orchid Man or Pest Control or, oh, you got a rat problem?
Oh, yeah.
Remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Vaguely.
Well, I thought it was like yeah, we've got Rat. I thought it was like a Geico commercial because when they're like, because didn't they have another commercial where they're like, our house is nice, but it's got ants. And then the ant's like, you dumb motherfucker, you bought too much groceries.
Something like
I
that.
think they had like a whole like line, and one of them was it had a bit of a rat problem and like round and round, but I think it was a Geico commercial.
Okay. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know. I'm talking way out of my ass right now. Our second thing is this is our Patreon request from Mac Daddy Aiden.
Yep.
Thank you, Aiden Quinn, for signing up for our Patreon and doing this. Just kidding, Aiden Quinn. You ain't shit. This is from Aiden.
Aiden Quinn, for all those people that don't know, is one of the guys in this movie. Because I didn't know that when you made that joke last week. I was like, who the fuck is Aiden Quinn?
He's actually the love interest.
Yeah.
You know, and
He's cool.
He fucking
He's
knocks his friend out.
He's Roberta's love interest.
Yeah. He's like, I don't need this shit, you know?
Mhm.
And she's like, fine, I'll just fucking go somewhere else after I change my clothes and
Yeah.
get out of here.
And what's the third thing?
The third thing is we're shooting this episode less than 12 hours before it actually goes live.
Yeah. It's pretty rough this time.
So it's bound to be awesome no matter what.
Oh, easily.
So
Yeah, welcome to That's Basically the 80s. We're reviewing fucking Desperately Seeking Susan.
that's right. And before we do that, we'll do a couple of shout outs. I want to shout out, unless you have any, I have a couple I can shout out this time.
Yeah.
One of our big followers on Instagram, and I've listened to some of their stuff. I just listened to their Robin Hood episode the other day. It was pretty good. They're called Award Wieners.
Was it like Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves?
Yeah, well, they did 3 different Robin Hoods. Like a Robin Hood from the old, before we were even alive, then Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and Men in Tights, and kind of compared all the 3 of them.
Oh, nice.
So, but they follow us on Instagram, and they're constantly liking our stuff, and I'm talking back and forth with them. So if you want to check them out, go to our Instagram at That's Basically the 80s, and then look at our followers and look up Award Wieners. And that's not winners, wieners, as in wiener dogs.
Right.
And then the other one I wanted to shout out is I just listened to their Highlander series, is Podcasting After Dark. Those guys are pretty cool. Both of these guys' podcasts are about guys that are about our age, just kind of doing the same thing, just sitting around and
Just being awesome.
watching old movies and just reporting on that shit, you know?
I
So
like it.
also, Podcasting After Dark, go to our Instagram, look them up from there, you know? I'm going to make you go through us to get to them, so...
Yeah, don't type their name in. You won't be able to find them that way.
So yeah, just wanted to let you know that those guys are cool and appreciate their support on Instagram.
Hell yeah.
You got anything?
Just the usual suspects that I always shout out. And then also, there's a new show that I've kind of been interacting with a little on Twitter called the Insanely Dangerous Retropod Show. That's kind of fun. Whichever one of their hosts runs their Twitter page, they're always posting like super funny memes that I'm like, oh shit, that's gonna get reported. And then so like he posted the other day, like it was just like a picture of a field or something. He's like, hope I don't get in trouble for this one. And then another podcast that I like under it was like, I'm reporting you, damn it.
That's my goal. I want to get big enough where we can just put dumb shit up there and get reported and be like,
Right.
oh, Yeah, well, we got shut down for 2 weeks because we put a picture of a giant chicken on there and said, "Hey, nice cock."
Hell yeah.
But so then, like I said, this was a Patreon for Aiden.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad he requested this, though.
Yeah, this is a good movie. It's a lot of fun. This is only the second time I've actually watched it in my whole life.
I think it's probably the second or third time I've ever watched it.
So I wanted to just throw a little bit about Aiden to you guys because he is our biggest supporter on our Patreon right now.
Mm-hmm.
So be sure to look us up at That's Basically the 80s Patreon. And you can find that link also at our website at www.that'sbasicallythe80s.com. If I sound like I'm repeating myself, it's because I am. No, I was talking to Aiden a little bit before because I told him he could request a movie. And if you do our $69 tier, he gets a movie every season. So coming up next season, he'll get another movie. But did you know, because the previous movie we did was a Stephen King movie, and we had also done The Shining. He was actually an archivist, because he's kind of a nerd.
An archivist?
Archivist, yeah.
I don't know how you pronounce it, but...
At the hotel.
Was he a top man?
Well, I don't know if he was a top man. I don't know if he put the shit away to be hidden, but he worked at the Stanley. So maybe he did the ghost stuff and hid it away. But so he was an archivist or an archivist or archaeologist.
Mm-hmm.
One of the dude that does the shit with the cool stuff.
Right.
Anyway, so I was talking him up a little bit, and he brought that up again because we just did Maximum Overdrive, and I was trying to say Maximum Overdrive is the best Stephen King movie, and he had to try and call me on my shit. It's like, look,
right,
motherfucker, The Shining is based on my life, so I gave it to him. I said that's second best.
I agree with him too. The Shining
that it's the second best.
I was talking with I guess I'll shout this person out because I didn't know this before, but Vintage Video Podcast, I was talking with them, and he Patrick was talking about how he hasn't seen Maximum Overdrive yet, and he's like, but if I remember right, I'm pretty sure that Stephen King doesn't even remember working on that movie because he was so coked out the entire time, and he's like, but I've never seen the movie yet, so I don't know. And I was like, no, I can totally see that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, if I made that movie, I would be like, did I do that?
Did I make that movie? Emilio Estevez has got a blur there also, But, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So, quick story I wanted to just tell real quick about Aiden and the Stanley and everything. Because, I had to, of course, ask him about ghosts and stuff, right? And we all have seen The Shining. We know the story. And there is the room where the lady's in the bathtub.
Yeah.
The bathtub lady, right? And he actually did meet the actress that played her.
Really?
And by meet... he says that he talked to her, and stuff, but whatever. But I did some researching on my own, and it turns out right around the time when Aiden worked at the Stanley, he would go check on the rooms and stuff, and then the legend is that when he was done in that room, there was no suspected hauntings for at least 9 months afterwards.
Wow.
So the story goes, he goes in there, and there's, lady in the bathtub trying to seduce him and everything. He's like, wait, hang on, I know this story. And he hurries up and tears down all the mirrors.
Yeah.
That's
smart.
And then, he's gone for like half hour, and all of his coworkers are like, where you been, man? He's like, look, I got some shit to do. And then 9 months, no fucking hauntings.
Yeah.
So
then he had to pay child support after that, right?
I don't know if you ever had to pay child support on a ghost, but there's a whole different process there. Imagine going through like the court process of Beetlejuice. It's fucked. I'm trying to get more details out of him, and if I get some, I'll let you guys know. But he's being real hush-hush about all
He's
this.
probably in that picture. We got to go back and look at the picture of the Stanley with Jack. Maybe he's in the background just clapping ghost cheeks.
Right? He's just back there just sitting there like
he
knows what's up. Anyway, should we get into this movie?
Mm-hmm.
Since we're, 9 minutes into having fun. But, it's been a while since we recorded, and we're on a timeline, so no bullshit. We're getting right into it.
Yeah, we definitely are.
So
yeah, we got our first Madonna movie, and probably only Madonna movie.
Probably. I don't know. What else was she in the 80s? Anything? Like a virgin or something?
Mm-hmm.
Music videos? And I think she did a good job. I liked...
Yeah.
So let's talk... I guess we'll start out at the beginning, because I love the beginning of the movie with like the montage for the whole like salon. You've got people getting their nails done. You've got blow dryers going. You've got people getting their hair washed. And then you get these people putting their heads up inside these baking machines. How many...
The baking machines. You never got your hair dried under that hairdryer before?
Do you mean I never got a sunburn on the top of my bald-ass head?
I don't think it's like a radiant heat. I think it's just hot air.
Either way, do you see this head?
Yeah. They could have... You had hair back then.
I did have hair as a child until about 8, and then my parents started giving me a buzz cut, and I pretty much stuck with that my whole life. There was some time in my teens when I had some hair, but...
Yeah. I just saw a home video of us, and I was like 14, so you were around like 15 or 16, and you had a full head of hair, and it was like longish.
Longish, yeah. Did I have the side spike on it?
No.
Oh. I think I did the side spike more when I was like 12, 13.
Yeah. Madonna was in a league of their own, and I'm a moron for forgetting about that.
Well, that was 90s.
Right.
Good-ass movie also.
Yeah.
So, anyways, just, yeah, that one thing that I loved about this was just like the montage coming in through it. And then every time that I see the people baking their perms inside those machines, I love it. I'm like, man, I think that's how you, like, I think they're doing like radio waves in there or something. They're kind of mind controlling these women somehow, making Stepford wives out of them or something. That's my theory.
Maybe. I always hung out with my grandma in the salons in the 80s, and she would get her hair permed, and she would be chilling under that thing, and I would always sit under one.
Be like, here, put your head in this, Corey.
Probably why my hair's so nice.
Probably. You'd go in there as your little Western rat tail kid, and they're like, hey, lady. That's probably why you're so good with the ladies, too. They taught you everything you know. You know, you're like, here, you got to fluff it this way, and you got to put some mousse this way and get a little bounce there, and, you know, you just learn to talk to ladies.
True.
You know, it's just, now it comes natural to you.
Yes, so in Desperately Seeking Susan, there is a hair salon, and then that's when Patricia Arquette or Roberta is
Patricia Arquette. Roseanne Arquette.
It's Roseanne?
Yeah.
Oh, that was Patricia.
There's like a million Arquettes, but this one's Roseanne.
Oh, all right, fine. Roseanne Arquette. That's when she's like looking in the newspaper, and she's like, "Oh fuck, there's Desperately Seeking Susan." Right.
And then she's like, the lady's like, who's Susan? Do you know these people? That's where we started off with this.
Yeah. She's like, no, they're just cool, and they just hook up with each other through the personal ads.
She's like, it's so fun to be desperate.
Yeah.
You know, and then she's like, well, everybody's desperate. And then later, like fast forward way into the movie when Susan has her diary, and she's like, no way, this is bullshit. Nobody's life is this boring. And her life was that boring, you know? So she kind of lives pseudo through the personals.
Yeah, the personal ads. So then anyway, she's like, well, you kind of are just introduced to like the premise of the story. There's the Susan character, and then the guy, what is his name? David? Nick? John?
Jim.
And then
it's fucking Susan and Jim are like the people in the ads.
And then it introduces Madonna, and she's like hanging out with a presumably dead guy in a hotel room.
Well, he's all strung out. He's all hung over and shit because he like moves.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he moves or rolls over or grunts or something. Because then she like takes him a picture and kisses him and says, "Oh, see you later," whatever. You know?
Okay, I thought at some point Jim was like, no more hanging out with dead guys.
Yeah, that's because that motherfucker throws his ass out the window. Oh. You remember the Will Patton bleached blonde creepy hair guy that looks at her ass on the way in?
Right.
He goes in there, throws his ass out the window.
Okay, so he wasn't dead yet.
And then because you see that later on like the news clip on the TV.
Okay, that's
rare Egyptian artifacts or whatever. And it was the earrings that she stole.
Right.
And it was that guy that was in that room that was he was roadkill, basically.
Okay. So he wasn't dead when she left, and then he became dead.
Right.
Perfect. Okay.
Because that's one thing I wrote down in my notes. I just loved how she was going through the whole hotel, and she's like, "Oh shit, these are mine. Shit, these are mine." She's looking in his wallet. He's like, "Oh, you got $200? Well, I guess 100 of that's mine." You know,
right?
And that's how she lives her life. She just goes around and parties, hooks up, steals her shit, and fucks off.
It's a pretty good life. I should try that.
Yeah, you should
try to steal some ancient earrings and shit.
Then you could get like the top citizen award or whatever. What's the top award that the president can give you? Like the
Medal of Freedom
or something. Yeah, I get that.
Get a Purple Heart or something.
Motherfucker, I stole this from the fucker who stole that, and then I gave it back to you because I got caught by the cops, and so I'm the hero.
Yep. So she leaves, and then I don't know what happens.
She just goes out of the hotel, and that's where it introduces that bleached-haired motherfucker I was talking about, because she drops her baggage, all of her luggage, and piles it up, and then he's all creeping by with his head all hung by.
That's when she bends over putting all the stuff up, and he turns back. And he's like, shit, is that Madonna's butt? Damn that ass. What up? And then she goes to like the subway or whatever where they have those lockers. She locks her stuff in there. And then she goes and finds Jim. And Jim's like, well, shit, I put this ad out, but I got to go, you know? And she's like, I wanted that dick. Right. And
He's like, it'll be here when you get back.
and then he's like, well, you're just going to go probably hook up with someone else anyways. And she's like, no, maybe not. And he's like, whatever. Here's my friend's number. If you need him, call him.
Don't fuck him.
Right. And she's like, okay. And she puts it in her jacket, and then she goes to a really cool like vintage clothing store and sells the jacket immediately to someone.
Right. She has this jacket, and she's got her key in it. She's got that number and everything. And she's like, hey, I want these glitter boots. And he's like, nope, you can't have them. And she's like, well, what about that jacket? This used to be Jimi Hendrix.
Elvis's.
And then trades it. And then the guy's like, tells Roberta, oh, this used to be Elvis's. And she's like, whatever, dude, just give me the jacket.
Mm-hmm. But so before that, Roberta, she's like, oh, I want to go down and try to figure out who Susan is. And
right,
so
she starts creeping.
Yeah, so then she's following her. And then, like, Madonna buys the hat from the one street salesman.
She tries
guy.
it on and stuff, right?
Well, Madonna doesn't. Yeah, Madonna does, and then she does. And then she runs into the same vintage clothing shop, and then she buys the jacket and then leaves. And that's how the whole mistaking her for Susan
right,
happens.
and then the creeper guy comes up. I love him because he's like, hey, girl, you want some candy? You want to talk? And tries to put her arm around. Just like way, like he didn't grow up in a hair salon for sure.
He doesn't know how to talk to ladies.
Not at all. He probably grew up in, I don't know what's a good stereotype to compare that to. But he definitely does not know how to talk to ladies. He's really good at throwing dudes out the window, but not good at just
It's Bill Paxton, isn't it?
Will Patton.
Oh, Will Patton.
Yeah.
Same person.
I always mix them up too, right? Bill Paxton's the Game Over dude from
Yeah.
Aliens, and Will Patton also does a lot of badass movies, but the one I remember him from most is Gone in 60 Seconds.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I fuck them up all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's because they just look alike, or
They
it's
kinda
because
do,
it's
yeah.
Will and Bill, both. Yeah. It's like Will Paxton, Bill Patton. It's like, come on, guys. You're not fooling anybody. You're the same person. He's like, that's how he gets away with his taxes. He's like, oh, fuck, I'll file 2 tax returns. One under Will Patton, one under fucking Bill Paxton, and then I'll never get Wesley sniped.
But I think, like, that guy talks to her. That happens after. It's like there's scenes that happen before Will Paxton comes and talks to her, because she goes home in the jacket, and then her husband is just like, where the fuck did you get that jacket? And she's like, the store. Right, and then
it belonged to Jimi Hendrix,
and you kind of learn that he's kind of like a piece of shit, and he's been like cheating on her and stuff,
right?
And then she's got like this boring ass life, but so then she sees another ad, and so then she goes down there again to try to see Susan, and that's when they mistake her, because then
right, because he's looking at it like he's got a photo or something,
right. Well, no, because the stranger, the Will Paxton or whatever, doesn't. I think he puts a ad in the paper saying, "Oh no, sorry, I'm fucked up." Okay, so she buys the jacket, and then she finds her key, and so she puts an ad in the paper saying, "Desperately seeking Susan
stranger.
regarding the key." From a stranger.
Right.
And then her boyfriend, who's like, who the fuck's this stranger? And then he calls his friend, and he's like, go check out the stranger for me.
And Aid's like, you've never seen a stranger? It's like, you sit on your left hand.
Yeah, so that's how it all happens. And then he doesn't know that she sold her jacket. So he's like, she's super easy to point out. She's got blonde hair and like a jacket that has got a pyramid on it. She's super pretty. And so then Roberta's got the jacket on, and then that guy attacks her, and then she smacks her head, and he runs off. And then she loses her purse and her ID and everything.
And then Will's like, game over, man.
Yeah, Will's like, game over, man. So then he runs up and talks to her, and then she can't remember who she is because she's got amnesia. And then she's like, fuck, maybe I'm Susan. I don't know.
Susan, you're good looking.
Yeah. And so that's how the switcheroo happens.
1-2 switcheroo.
Mm-hmm. And then now she gets to be...
Now she's Susan for a week or something,
a little while.
Yeah.
Shit, I want to be Susan.
I love the Noodle Patrol fucking moped. Literally want that car. That little bike
thing that he drives her home on. Yeah, like the
little delivery bike that he gets all in trouble about. He's like, never again. It's like, look, man, sorry. I mean, we had some problems. Look at what I picked up. You'd be late too.
Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, like you kind of said that this movie, you guys had said that you thought this movie kind of drug on and stuff, and there's just like a lot of like artsy and, like scenes and stuff like that. And I think one of the like scenes that were a little long and didn't necessarily need to be there because it had no weight on it at all is when he takes Roberta, Susan home, and then they're taking all of his stuff away, and his ex-girlfriend's there.
Right.
With like a rich dude, and then they like make it a point, and the guy's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go put this stuff in the Ferrari, babe."
Right.
Like, obviously, she's like leaving him for a rich guy, and then she looks over at Roberta Susan, and she's like, "You'll be happy with him. He's a really great guy," and then leaves. Like,
I'll send you a check.
right, that whole like
Probably
5-10 minutes probably didn't need to be in there, but it was cool to see like the art and stuff, that how his
Yeah, for sure.
like loft is and everything, and
The
it shows
Bruce
that
Lee's and stuff up there.
and it kind of shows that he's like a nice guy and stuff, and maybe that like helps her figure out that like she's gonna fall in love with him and stuff. So, but
Right.
that part, if they had to cut like 10 minutes out of the movie, they could have done that.
Yeah,
easily.
for sure. They could have shortened that a little bit.
Mhm.
But, I mean, it's the 80s, and it's, like you said, it's an artsy movie.
Mhm.
And it was good.
Oh yeah,
All of
Really
it was fun to watch. It was goofy.
Mhm.
But, you got anything else before we jump into a commercial real quick?
I think we could talk the last half of the movie about Roberta Susan and then them figuring it out and everything.
Yeah, I think probably the most important thing that happened before this, where we're taking a break, is when Madonna Susan was changing her shirt, and she did have the little see-through bra there.
Mhm.
I think we need to bring that up
Probably.
because Carrie brought it up while I was watching it. She's like, "Well, at least you got to see her titty."
Carrie with the shout out.
She did. She looks right at me and says, "Oh, at least you got to see that." I'm like,
Yeah.
I mean,
You must listen to our podcast. Yep. So we will be right back after a word from ourselves in this commercial break. Dude, Chris,
what's up?
do you know what I fucking miss?
What's up?
Gold doubloons. You know why?
Why?
Because I fucking love them. Dude, do you know my favorite thing about gold doubloons? Collecting them. Because do you know what that means? You're fucking rich. Do you know how to get rich?
How?
Well, you make podcasts.
Like us?
Right? Do you know how you get rich making podcasts?
Use.
You fucking download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. And do you know what you do after that? You get them fucking gold doubloons.
Gold doubloons.
Gold doubloons. You gather them all together, and you know what you do? You fucking try to spend them, and then they're like, "We don't accept gold doubloons here." And you're like, "Well, fucking I'll go to some place that exchanges them, and then I'll get some cash."
And then you get like
Some fucking
cash.
cash.
$400 a piece.
Yeah.
Nice.
That'd be cool. Like, I would like to exchange 2 gold doubloons, and they're like, "Well, that's $800 cash." And you're like, "All right, give me them fucking Benjamins." How much is a Benjamin?
$100.
Yep. How much is a 50? Is that a Franklin?
That's a grant.
Oh, yeah. Put me on them grants, bitch.
Wait. Yeah. a
Yeah.
grant.
Who's Hamilton's a 20, right?
10.
Oh, fuck. Who's a 20?
Jackson.
I obviously don't know. You talk about a George Washington, and I know that's a $1 bill.
Do you want to shoot this whole thing over?
No.
Okay.
Anchor.fm.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back and we are ready.
Mm-hmm.
So, for those of you that are listening for the first time or the 50th time, just wanted to let you guys know that every time after our short commercial break, we do a shout out to a different movie real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And what I do is I just pull up a random movie. Right now we're doing some 2000 movies, and I just randomly spit it off to Corey. He doesn't know what I'm telling. I'm hoping that he's seen it before. Most of the time I know if he has, and sometimes he's like, "Oh, fuck, I haven't seen that forever." And he's like, "I don't know, fuck it, I'll make it up."
Right.
And other times he's like, "Well, I've seen that a million times. I could probably just quote you the whole movie word for word if you want." So
And
this...
Every once in a while, some very rare ones, you hit me with a movie, and I'm like, fuck, I don't even know what to say. And then we erase it and start over with a different one. But that's behind the scenes, and you gotta subscribe to our Patreon to get access to that shit.
Yep. And so this time I'm going to throw a movie at that Corey and I watched together, so I know that he's seen it, and he loved it, and I absolutely hated it. Not because it was a bad movie, but because of the way it was shot. I hate movies that are shot from like a viewer perspective.
Point of view.
Yep, and Corey loves them. That's just different styles, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to throw another Alien movie at you because for some reason aliens are huge. Hit me up with that District 9.
Oh, wow. I didn't think you were going to do District 9. I thought you were going to hit me with Cloverfield.
Soon, baby.
Soon.
Soon.
You're waiting on that one?
I actually like that movie a lot, but I like zombie movies. I just don't... Well, no, that one's a monster movie.
Yeah.
I like monster movies. The other one that's a zombie movie is Quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
I like both of those.
That one's good, too.
But I just think it... Like, if you're shooting in third person like that or whatever, you're probably... If you're a 10 that bumps you down to a 7. Where if you
For the
just
movie,
shot it regular, you'd be a 10.
Mhm.
Anyways,
Yeah, District 9, yeah, I love the movie. I remember we saw it in the theater together, and you definitely were like, fuck this movie, because the way that it was shot and everything. But it was kind of shot like sort of documentary, sort of like first-person view.
right. From what I remember, I haven't watched it since. It had some that was just shot regular like a normal movie,
Mhm.
and some was like you're saying, through the eyes of the viewer and documentary style and stuff. So
Yeah, super great movie, though. If I can, like, roachy type aliens crash land on Earth and then like
in South Africa or something like
well,
that.
they kind of like come into the atmosphere and then they just get like they just get, like settled in South Africa, and it's like got this whole nuance of like things that happen in South Africa, kind of like back in the 70s and 80s and everything, and but yeah, there's just kind
like
of
a whole
this
quarantine section areas. Like,
Mhm.
this is your area. You live in the slums and
Yeah.
whatever. So, I mean, the movie did have a deeper meaning.
Mhm.
I just, personally, I couldn't get past the shooting.
just all yeah but yeah, it was weird. Yeah, they like call the aliens prawns and stuff, you
Right.
know, like just like a slur and stuff. But yeah, it's such a weird movie because like you watch the whole movie and it's told the reason that it's awesome and weird also is because it's told like from the main character's point of view currently, and then it's also retold from the events that have already happened in interview style. So like the stepfather of the guy,
Because isn't he a reporter? If I remember,
he's
right?
like no, he just works for like the immigration service or whatever
Okay.
that like handles those people. But then like he's married to like the CEO of that company, the military operation company. He's married to his daughter, and so then that guy gives him this chance to lead this convoy to go into District 9 and then relocate the aliens to somewhere else. And so they're like all disappointed and stuff because in their eyes he is like a traitor and like helped the aliens like escape and get back into their ship to go home, like to try to go home or whatever. And they think that he like went and like killed a bunch of like fellow soldiers and stuff. And then from his telling, like it shows everything that happened through his eyes, and then back tells of like his wife being so upset and stuff because he like presumably dies in the movie and everything. And so she's like, I can't believe he'd do this. And then, like, yeah, the father-in-law is just like, yeah, you're such a good guy and everything. Like, who knew he'd turn out to be a traitor and everything? And it's just like this back and forth telling of this whole story. But just a super great movie.
Because doesn't he turn into an alien or whatever?
I think that he, like, something happens like that where he, like, becomes infected with something. But yeah,
right.
like
And they toy at the idea at the end because he's fiddling.
yeah, because he's
with
got, like,
some-
his, like, prawn hand or whatever. Yeah. And he's, like, messing with, yep. So,
Yeah, and there's one crazy warlord that wants to eat the aliens.
Yeah.
because he's like, if I eat them, I'll be stronger and
Yep.
shit. So
And they have to go like get weapons from him and stuff. Yeah,
Right.
It's such a cool movie. Crazy movie. But yeah, I could see why you didn't like that movie as much. But at least it's not told from the point of a camcorder like Cloverfield was.
Yeah.
Because that was why you didn't like Cloverfield.
yeah, I just get seasick or something. I don't know, but whatever.
So, hell yeah.
So you know what that is?
That's totally the 2000s.
Definitely the 2000s.
God damn it.
All right, let's get back into Desperately Seeking Susan. We've definitely set up parts of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
You
We've
know
talked
that,
about some of it.
you know that there's Susan. You know that there's some Egyptian
Earrings.
earrings. You know that the guy
There's a
got thrown out
Roberta.
the window. Yeah,
Mhm.
and so Susan is not Susan. Roberta is thinking she's Susan, and she's out with Des,
Mm-hmm.
which is why we're watching this movie, Aiden Quinn. You know, because Aiden requested Aiden Quinn because I think he just likes to watch him on screen. You know, I don't blame him. He's a good-looking man.
Yeah, I like
I
it.
mean, he stole the scenes. But so here he is. He took her back to his place, and he's like, "Look, man, I know your style. I don't want no shit."
Yeah.
And she's like,
What style? I
just want some pancakes or
yeah,
something,
my
you know?
fucking head hurts. I'm gonna have a mild concussion.
And so they go on a couple of adventures, right? They go try to have breakfast, and they're like, "Hey, look, that guy can stay, but she can't.
Yeah.
Get her out of here."
Yeah, they go have breakfast, and then again, the jacket comes up because the diner owner is just like, "That's that crazy bitch with the jacket." And they're like, "Get the fuck out of here." She's like, "I can pay." And he's like, "Oh, no, you can't."
And then she runs off, and then they throw out freaking Des, like,
Mhm.
on the concrete. It's like, dude,
Yeah.
you don't throw people out of a restaurant.
Right.
know?
And then he's like, I thought I said no crazy stuff. And she's like, I'm sorry, I didn't even know what that was. And so then
She's like, I had a Benjamin. I was going to pay for it.
Right. And so then he like leaves, and then she
Well, they get a cab. She goes to that magic store after that, and they share the cab together.
mm-hmm.
And he just was like, well, see if like whatever, you know?
Yeah. And then she goes and gets a job as a magician girl
Right?
with John Turturro.
Yes, John Turturro. Let's talk about him a little bit.
He's so cool.
Because
Nobody fucks with the Jesus.
So you don't know what he does?
I knew it. Nobody does.
What's his best role? Is it Big Daddy, or is it that one? Or is it from any of his other awesome roles he has?
I think that it is the Jesus. He's really good in the Transformers movies too.
For sure.
But in Big Daddy, yeah. But I think that it's the Jesus for me. I love that.
For sure. I love it. He's just like...
He's like when they're like waxing the balls.
Just clean up. You have to do that every time you go to the bowling alley now.
Yeah.
You know? So...
Yep. So she goes and like gets a job as a magician assistant because the other girl got fired because she's got to make some money because she has a concussion, doesn't know who the fuck she is.
Right.
So she can't go home.
And she does a horrible job. The first time she's chasing birds all over the bar.
I know. I really like that. He like makes a dove appear and she's like, "Fuck, get back over here, dove!" And she goes running across and he's like, "Jesus Christ, you're supposed to hold this fucking thing up while I pull a fish out of my ass. What are you doing?"
And he makes a duck appear, and the duck's like, where's the water?
Yeah.
He's just all over the place.
It's pretty funny. And then he's like, "Fuck, she's worse than the last one." And the guy's like, "You're hired. Be back here on Tuesday or whatever."
Take these birds home and practice. A lot.
Right. And that's when she leaves at dark. And then when Will Paxton Patton shows up, and then he's following her, and he's walking, then she's like, "Oh, fuck."
Right, and then she runs into this random building.
It's like he's like a security guard, and then she's
security guard for something.
Yeah, but she's like, "I need help," and he's like, "How'd you get in here?" And she's like, "I fucking walked in the open door."
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like this fucking door was unlocked and open back there, and then he's got like titty pictures all over. Yeah,
he's got like porno mags and stuff, and then he's like, "Oh, it'll be okay. Just 1 second." He goes running off, and he's all looking her up and down, and she sits there, and then she sees a commercial for her husband's
Gary
spa thing, but it's like a weird
Mexican
like
Gary.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, come on down here and
grab
get
my
laid
chicharrones."
in my hot tub and shit." She's like, "That motherfucker." And then she looks around. She's like, "Wait, this isn't a safe place. I got to get out of here." And so she leaves, and then she's trying to get home, and then
she gets attacked again by bleached hair Will.
Yep.
And she gets her head hit again.
Yep. So then he's like trying to get her, and then all of a sudden the like cops are coming, and then she falls back and hits her head, and then the cops are like, "Shit, was that your pimp?" And she's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And they arrest her.
Right.
And she's got her birds, and then that other lady, the other hooker in the back seat, she's like, "What do you do with the birds?" I love that part. It's so good.
The same thing. I was like, shit.
But yeah, she goes to jail, and then they're like, "What's your name?" She's like, "Oh, it's Roberta." And they're like, "That's a name." And so she's like, she re-hits her head, so then she remembers who she is, kind of.
And then the police chief or whatever calls her husband because he knows him from the spa world or whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
But before that, well, she calls. So anyway, she goes to jail, and then actual Susan shows up because then she figures out what's going on. She's like, "Oh, somebody else has my jacket, and they got caught by bleach blonde Will Paxton, Billiam, whatever, and this person, this is what's going on." So she contacts Roberta's husband, Gary.
Yes.
And then she's like, "Hey, we got to meet."
Because Gary calls somebody. I don't remember exactly how they hook up. He calls somebody. Oh, because they're... Never mind. Go ahead.
Anyways, Susan and Gary get in contact with each other, and then she's like, "Your wife stole all my shit. Like, so let's go back to your house and wait for her." And then
that's how he does it. He finds the bag from the nanny, and then goes to the store, and then the dude at the store is like, "Fuck, man, just get out of here. Here, this lady came by looking for that jacket. Here's her number."
Right, yeah.
That's how they get together. Shit, it was fucking with me for a minute. I was like, I only watched this a couple days ago.
I know, I watched it literally like hours ago. But, half of it. I watched half of it last night. Anyways, doesn't matter. So, then Susan and, actual Susan and Gary are communicating, and then they're talking and everything about like, "Oh, my wife, my wife, like she skipped town," and then, she's like, "Yeah, she's probably hanging out and stealing all my stuff. So she goes over to his house, and then she's all looking through, and that's when she opens her books, and she's like, fuck,
and this
life's boring.
This part definitely tells you how Gary is, because he brings her home and he's like
Mhm.
infatuated with her, and then he's like, oh, she's like, here's the bed, oh, here, I'll go through all these underwear. Like, his wife is missing,
Right. And
You
he's
know.
just hanging out with
he's
her.
like, oh shit, yeah, that's her underwear, here, let's read her diary,
and she's like
Let's-
spraying perfume on herself.
let's go get fucking high, and so he's not a good person at all.
Right.
And,
And so
neither
when
is
they-
she, because she's using the fuck out of him. I mean,
Right.
but that's who she was before.
Mhm.
You
She's
know.
just being herself.
Right.
She wasn't. Everybody knows who she is. She's not leading a double life. But so they get high, and then that's when Roberta calls home to be like, "Can you come get me?" And then she hears Susan on the phone, but she doesn't know who Susan is, and she's giggling with Gary, like Gary's Spa World, and they're all giggling and stuff, and she's like, "Motherfucker!" And she hangs up, and so then she calls Dez.
And then she gets laid.
And then he lets her out, or he bails her out, and then she goes home with him. They hook up, and then the police chief is like, "Oh fuck, that's Gary, my hot tub salesman's wife. Let me call." And so then he's like, "Oh yeah, her pimp hit her in the head, and she got arrested." And then he's like, "What the fuck?"
He's like, what the fuck, your pimp?
Right? And then his talk with his sister,
sister.
and she's like, "Do you know like 40% of prostitutes are lesbians? I didn't know that your wife was a lesbian and everything."
Right? They just like build this whole thing up.
Right?
Like, they have no concept beyond themselves. They make it all about them. It's insane.
Right. And so at that point, that's when Susan figures out everything that's going on. So she's like, "Oh, okay, I've got it figured out. Your wife," but she doesn't tell them. She's just like, "Here, I know what's going on. Like, let's meet me here. We're going to go meet this stranger." But what she's put together is that Susan went and got her coat and then is being mistaken for this person by Dez and
Right.
by the cartel people and everybody else.
And Jimmy's like, who the F is the stranger? Jimmy's freaking out,
Right.
right? And so she brings them all together at the end.
Mhm. And yeah, they all go to her magic show, and I really liked this magic show because she like shows up and she's kicking ass and throwing the doves around and everything and whipping the curtain off, and then she gets sawed in half and she's a badass, and then she looks over and she's like, "That's that game over guy," and then he's like, "Fuck," and he runs up and grabs her wig and runs off. And then like
Right in the middle of the show, he's like the
Yeah.
worst, or whatever he is,
Uh-huh.
hitman or whatever. He's the
yeah,
worst.
he's not good at whatever he is. But then I just loved how like they crash over everything, and then like the magician's like wig goes flying off, and then the band's like, "Oh fuck, we gotta play like some yakety sax," and they just start playing like silly music and stuff. And then the best part of it was the magician, like he's got no hair and everything, and everybody like leaves the stage, and then he just like bowed. That part was so good. I was like, yes,
Like,
his
the
performance.
show must go on.
He's like through and through a performer. But then yeah, like Dez and Gary are both like, "Roberta, what are you doing?" Like, "Susan, what are you doing? We got to get you out of here." And they're like, "Who are you?" Like, "No, it's fine, I got this." And then she's like looking at them both. She's like, "Look, I'm sorry, honey. This is my husband." And then he's like, "What the fuck?" And then the other one's like, "What the fuck?" And she's like, "I know, right? My head hurts." It's just like this whole thing. And then Madonna runs off, Susan, and then
Gets captured by
yeah. Well, no, she runs off and she's with her original boyfriend, whose name is whatever. Jimmy. Yeah, she's with Jimmy, and then Blondie comes up and he's like, "Fuck, you're gonna get me out of here," and puts a gun to her head and wants to just get her so he can get out of there from
Right,
everybody
takes
that's
her as a
chasing her.
hostage.
And then he's like, "Oh wait, you're actually Susan.
You have
That's
the
your
other
earring."
fucking earring.
Yeah, and so then
They
they're
do like a
trying to-
Looney Tunes montage
Yeah,
and run
run
all
around.
and everything. And
Yeah, and then Roberta fucking clocks him, and then she's like, "Thanks." And then Jimmy comes out, and he's like, "Oh damn, Madonna, let's go have some sex." And then they just start banging, and then Gary and Roberta are like, "We got to go talk." And then he's like, "When did you become a lesbian?" She's like, "I'm not, you fucking crazy person."
why are you turning tricks for dollars?
Right? She's like, "I'm not. I'm fucking throwing doves for 20s, bitch."
She's like, I'm leaving you. And he's like, but when did doves cry?
Right? He's like, I didn't know this is what they meant when doves cry. But he's like, "No, you're just tired." And she's like, "Look at me." And he's like, "I am." And she's like, "No, actually look at me. I'm not coming home." And then he's like,
I'm going to go out there for 5 minutes. And
right.
if you ain't with me, I'm fucking leaving.
She's like, "I'm not coming home."
Goodbye.
Right. And he probably just went back home to like Spa World and got laid.
Yeah, he had some
He didn't
side
care.
snatch on the other.
Because he like
you know?
admitted, he's like,
To his
he's like,
sister, yeah.
he's like, I have a respectable affairs. I'm not sneaking around with anybody. I'm having a respectable affair. Like, what does that mean, you know? But then, yeah, her and Des, then she's like, I really like you. And he's like, oh, I like you too.
And then at the end, they go get the Freedom Award.
Yeah, because that's like, it's like a happy ever after, like the four of them. And then Susan and Roberta, they become, like, I would imagine they become friends because they like start hanging out. It's like they're really awesome. And then she's like, check this out, we're gonna go like hustle the mayor and say that we found these earrings and then make a bunch of money and stuff.
That's right.
That was awesome. But I really liked this movie a lot. I think it might be my favorite one we've watched this whole time.
More than Game Over? More than Aliens?
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I really liked it. Like the style and everything. And I really love Madonna. I love her music. Definitely her 80s and like early 90s music. Not so much
sure.
like the older music that she started to make like in the 2000s and stuff, but Madonna in the 80s, like she was untouchable, man. Her music was so good. The style was awesome.
True.
Roseanna Arquette is beautiful. She's super cool.
Oh, yeah. I think all the Arquettes are cool.
Yeah. What if it was like Desperately Seeking David Arquette and it was just like me running around like trying to be him?
Yeah, well, or you had Courtney Cox running around. Where is he? And then she just gets fucking stabbed by a guy with a long white face.
I'll just like Scream.
Yeah.
That'd
Like
be
Scream
cool.
is the sequel to this. Like shit, you just bring it. You could bring these together in a like the same universe and just have Aidan Quinn and Rosanna Arquette sitting there, and then you have David Arquette and Courtney Cox over there, and then just somebody jump out and just like stab somebody and be like, "Why you got blonde hair?"
That'd be awesome.
What else you got for me?
Do you know what we should have done?
What?
Maybe like we'll make this a stretch goal. If we ever get to $1,000 a month in Patreon, we will remake this podcast where the first half I have to play you playing the podcast because I hit my head and I think I'm you. And then the second half, I hit my head and then I'm back to me again. And we have to try to make sense of it. That would be cool.
I have to try and work out doing the podcast with me.
Yeah. And you're all confused as fuck about it.
I like it. You'll just be like, titties and Crown Royal.
The other day, Carrie hit me in the balls.
I was just walking out of the kitchen. She scared the fuck out of me.
And then my little dog, Boo. Oh, that'd be really fun.
I like it.
Anyways, so what do we got coming in the future?
Well, I think that there's a new badass movie coming out. It's called Coming to America 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that everybody's going to watch that has watched Coming to America.
Probably.
So I think we should
watch Coming to America.
Yeah. You know what that is?
That's basically the 80s 1-year anniversary.
Dun, dun, dun.
Woo! Woo! Give us a like on some platforms. Share our shit. Fucking
go to Patreon.
Tell your friends about us.
Tell your enemies about us.
Madonna, I still love you.
Aidan Quinn, you're not as good as our Aidan, but you're pretty good.
Game over, man.